Hello and good morning and good afternoon for all you privacy enthusiasts out there. Today is the June monthly community get together for Keep Data Private. You have Marcel
Hiya.
and my name is Daniela. We have two topics for today. One of them is a quick mention on a recent headline that has been going around and making the news. Marcel, do you want to talk about that briefly, or should I give a quick start?
If you want to give a quick start, that'd be useful.
Okay, so even I read a news headline the other day saying, billions and billions and billions of usernames and passwords have been hacked, more billion than people on the planet. I believe it was in the region of 16 billion accounts had been violated. Now, I don't take things like these lightly, so I had a look into it, and within a few minutes, I researched that this number is maybe or maybe not accurate. But first of all, the news is old and outdated, and secondly, it wasn't quite accurate in the way it was represented. Do you want to give a bit more detail on the background or the technical side before I head into maybe a small rant on how easy it is for the media to misportray how data is being handled?
Yes. Well, I think the main thing is the headline said, data breach, which implies that something got hacked. And this was not the case. When you look into it, you find out that it's a collection of previously obtained passwords from various data collectors. So various spyware that people have installed in their computers, which has been copying and tracking your logins. So various accounts from Google to Gmail to Facebook, etc. When you log in onto the machine, it was keeping track of those usernames and passwords. And those account collectors have been collecting data for years. And all that information is now being collated into one big database. So every username and password that had ever been collected at some point in time was collected into one big database, and that database was made public. Now, a lot of these account breaches were from, as I've said, years ago. So it's not new, as you said earlier. It's not new. These account breaches are not new. This is not a new historical break or breach of some account like Google or Facebook or something like that. It's just that there's a whole bunch of accounts that have previously been collected and are now being made public in one big data set. So if you've been managing your user accounts and if you've been notified that your computer had a virus or a Trojan or something installed in your machine, and you've learned to get rid of that, and you've got rid of and changed your password since then, or you subscribe to some, have I been hacked service to find out whether your user account password has been compromised, you would have changed your passwords already. Now, all this being said, there may be a lot of people that aren't aware of this, and this information has now been made public for the first time, or somebody's going to try and use this information to try and log into your Facebook account. And it's basically a situation where you want to have a secure password for your accounts anyway. And if you haven't changed your password since you created the account and it was password 1234 whatever, now is probably a good time to reassess how you store your passwords, how you log into your accounts, and use something. My personal favorite is Bitwarden, a password manager that you can use to store your passwords, to create random strong passwords for each of your accounts without you having to remember it. The only password you have to remember is your password for Bitwarden itself, and that is protected with two-factor authentication. So it's a headline that, yes, I too thought, we're going to be changing the topic of this talk again after changing it last month. But having looked into it quickly, I think it's just worth just pointing out briefly that it's not a massive new breach. It's just a publication of previously obtained passwords. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't also take the necessary steps to make sure that if you have an old account, that you change the password on there. And if you've got secure accounts for your bank, whatever that you're using, two-factor authentication that your bank can provide. So it's something that if you're not aware of it, be aware that these accounts can be compromised, but it's not something new. It's not something that we all should be starting to worry about. It should be business as usual, basically.
Yes. The one thing to add maybe is that in addition to the standard, making passwords strong and changing them on occasion, maybe, it is a good reminder to also be aware of what's in the news and how it can be mishandled or misdirected. I put that under social engineering, and again, for a lot of criminals, it's just as easy to get the password from you yourself rather than hacking into it. Just be smart about it. Don't ever share your password. And also, don't ever react to something you see just because the headline seems a bit too good, too scary to react to that. Just be smart about every situation and evaluate before you do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the actual topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while now is privacy policies.
Mm-hmm.
One reason that led me to read into privacy policies a little bit more is our own privacy policy on our website. I would like to make it as good as possible. And that's where the topic really starts. What is a good privacy policy? And let's start by just asking everyone out there, when was the last time you actually read through the privacy policy of any of the services or websites or apps that you are subscribing to? I mean, literally, when was the last time you read it? I, like so many other people, I don't read them. I don't read all of it often because it's too long. It's often designed to misguide or confuse. Many times, companies don't update them. Oftentimes, if they do update them, they don't notify you that they are updating them. So if you do get a notification saying our privacy policy has changed, those are already the better companies out there. Again, do go through those changes because according to law, you should be allowed to have a good amount of time to read through them and then decide if you still want to be with that company or not. And yes, it is a choice that you have. If you think that no, I don't want my data to be sold, I don't want my photos to be part of an AI learning model, you have the option. You often have the option to revoke your service, delete your account, move it over, or if nothing else, with the recent meta change to opt out of a feature or a service that would use your data for something else. So again, when was the last time you read through it? You read through it to the end and you understood it, and then you took a decision on whether to use something or not.
Just for clarification, my understanding is that the privacy policy is part of the terms of service. If is that the case, or what's the difference?
It is not part of terms of service. It's a separate document. And again, you know how many people are thinking about it that way.
Yeah.
It is a can of worms that, when opened, becomes either really interesting to some people or a little off-putting to others. It's worthwhile thinking about it. It doesn't matter which camp you fall into. If you don't want anything to do with it, that is a decision you actively take. If you say, okay, I take the 5 minutes to 5 hours to actually read through it, understand it, and if I have questions, then ask the company I'm dealing with on what does that actually mean. Congratulations, you're a very active person, and I recommend you for it. Well done. The reason why this is important, our little website is not that important at all in the big wide world, but as I mentioned, Meta, WhatsApp, communication platforms, all of those companies that have your data, they can decide to share this data with other people and other companies if they choose to do so. And yes, they can change the privacy policy. They should be telling you about it. As I mentioned, a lot of people don't. But they can change it, and often you will not find out. And at that point, it is too late. Once your data or everything that you have created is shared, you can't unshare it anymore. I mentioned AI as one of them. Another one close to my personal heart is the is quite often women who had abortions or miscarriages be having legal issues nowadays because it's no longer allowed to have a miscarriage and not get into legal trouble. So you better not talk about that on any of the meta platforms. Don't talk about your periods and so on because your data will be looked through. It will be shared with law enforcement, whether you like it or not. Extreme cases, I understand. And we're not even at this point, we're not even talking about crime or being hacked into. That's just legal conduct from one company selling data to another company for money, even though they did not create the data. Sorry, I know I'm a bit on a roll here. Do you want to throw something in?
No, it does make one think, of course, if you're looking at a privacy policy and it's very long and verbose, and as you suggested, it may take 5 hours for you to go through it. Do you really want to be engaging with this organization and sharing your data with this organization if they have a privacy policy that's that long? That's not easy to understand. And I think this is where you're coming from, is that creating a privacy policy that's easy to read, easy to understand, separates the kinds of organizations and service providers that you want to deal with, that you can understand exactly what they're doing with your data very easily and quickly by just referring to the privacy policy. And I think it's something we can all use if we provide services ourselves, right, to differentiate us from these big organizations that abuse the data that they're collecting on you.
Yes. Yes. So exactly. One way of thinking about it is imagine that privacy policy being representing one person. What would that one person look like and sound like if they were your neighbor, and would you want to live next to them? Would you want to bump into them every single day? Yes or no? And that is the decision you can take. It literally is a decision that you have to make. And just putting blinkers on is also a decision. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure it's the one that leads to the best outcome in the long run. You also made a really good point, Marcel, around companies differentiating themselves from other companies uh, in terms of, well, what do they offer in the privacy policy? There are 7 points that should be part of it to be a good privacy policy. One of those points, as you said, is readability. Can people understand it, read it, and know what's going on in there? The second one is how long is it? And when I say how long it is, just because it's long is not necessarily a sign that it's bad or anything or bad for you. It simply means it may cover everything. But is it unnecessarily long is a more appropriate question, in my opinion. Or does it cover everything it needs to cover without going into legalese or using terms that are not necessary? Again, it's part of readability in this case.
exactly.
Another point that's really interesting when reading on the topic is how much data is actually collected on you. Is it only your email address if you're signing up to a newsletter? Or is it an IP address? Maybe. Is it where you click on the within the email that you receive? More than likely. But what else is being collected from you? Is there cross-window scripting and things like that? How long is the data being stored and so on. So what information is being collected from you, and are you aware it is being collected as well? Is that covered? Is it described?
I think an interesting exercise is Google. You can actually download the data that Google collects on you, request that information to be made available. And you do have to request it because it takes so long for them to gather all the data into a file that you can then later download. But it's interesting just to have a look at what does Google collect on you. And you may not have done anything within Google. You may have a Gmail account or but not use it for anything else. If you do searching or your search history and things like that, those are all kinds of things that you're probably aware of. But it's very interesting to actually see how much data Google collects on you. And fair, to them, that they actually make that data available. Most companies don't actually make it available. They collect the data, they call it anonymized data, so they don't have to then link it back to you in any way, so they don't have to provide you or be able to even provide you that data, but Google does, or at least they used to. I haven't looked for a while now, so I could be talking about the past, but it's a it's an interesting exercise if they do still make it available.
Yes, try and find out.
Mm.
Again, have you ever tried to ask a company which information they hold on you? Google makes it or made it available, but have you actually asked anyone, including your employer, as an example? Freedom of information requests are there for a good reason if the company does not voluntarily share what they hold on you. Why not? It's, on a rainy Sunday afternoon, why not lodge one or two of them? It's interesting. It's again recommendable to do things like that just to find out what is going on in the world. Um, uh,
And compare it to the privacy policy.
yes, yes. Very, very nicely done in linking it back to the topic at hand. Um, But yes, it is interesting. So if you ever had an interest in privacy, think about those things. Do something. Don't just sit there and listen to a video, but actually do something. It's incredibly interesting what you will learn along the way. Another thing that is not clear to everyone when, especially apps these days, oh, we are fully encrypted. And then it turns out they may be end-to-end encrypted, but the database where it's stored on the other end may not be, or it may be. Is that defined in the privacy policy? It should be. It really should be. If you enter data, for example, your date of birth, health data, financial data at times, things like that. Your address is also a really good example. Your phone number. If any of that data is stored, well, how encrypted is it? Is it ever not encrypted? Which mechanisms are being used? And that leads me on to, well, how long is it stored for and what happens at the end? Is it simply being deleted, thrown away? Or is it just put into a further back in the room archive somewhere? What's happening? All of those points need to be mentioned in the privacy policy in such a way that even somebody like myself can understand it.
Yeah. It also ties back, talking about storage, to data retention. And is data retention policy part of the privacy policy?
The short answer is yes. There's more to it because data retention, especially if we are talking about large entities such as Google or Meta, Facebook, or then there are different parts of the company that have different data retention necessities and legal aspects to them. If it's the data that end users enter or data that's being tracked, yes, it ought to be defined on how long is your data being stored for. And also, if you request to have your data deleted, the privacy policy should tell you how long it will take for your data to be deleted, or if there is a very good reason, and I can't imagine one, but if there's a very good reason not to delete your data, then why that is the case. So it's not only the encryption on the way into whichever storage medium, it's how long is it going to be in the storage medium, what happens after it's no longer going to be stored, and um, now I've lost my train of thought. What happened? Sorry. And what happens if you don't want it stored anymore? So how do you, as the end user of a service, how do you get rid of it? And again, Europe has GDPR, which is regulation on data privacy, the general data privacy regulation. It's been in place for over 10 years now. It's an ongoing journey. It's not perfect. Hand on heart, it definitely isn't perfect, but it's a good attempt at making data privacy a talking point. And recently, in my search for more data, for more information on privacy policies, I also found out that India has a very similar set, very similar regulations to the GDPR. So anyone interested in comparing approaches from different continents, different countries, have a look. It's really interesting how different cultures and countries go about going about data privacy and the value associated with it, each human being's data that comes about as they live their lives.
Yeah.
And yes, in a nutshell, it's, in my opinion, a superbly interesting topic. The reason why we've put it on here today is to get you thinking about it. And as I said, ideally not only thinking, but actually do something. Read one of them, just one of them. If you can't sleep at night, brilliant. What could be better? Well, you may be up in the middle of the night logging a request for information act piece to some of the companies, but have a look at what people collect on you.
Yeah.
Share the, well, don't share your information, but share how the process works with people around you. Talk about it. Make sure other people know as well what is going on out there, and just make sure that people around you understand a little bit more about data privacy than they did before.
You mentioned that there were 7 points regarding a good data privacy policy. What are those 7 points? You said readability, length.
The readability,
No, sorry.
I can't remember them all by heart off top of my head, to be completely honest. I'll put them in the comments below.
Mm-hmm.
But they hover around readability, and so that they are being understood by the person reading it. The person reading it is supposed to be a normal random person that you pick out of a crowd. You
Yeah.
know, you don't know about their education, you assume they can read and write, and that person should be able to understand them. It
It's
should,
your users. You should respect your users.
yes, whoever they are, and that may change over the years.
Yeah.
It should not contain any legalese or any jargon, so no terminology that are not easily understandable by standard people, may even be a separate point on there. There's a heavy focus on encryption and data safety so that your data does not get into the wrong hands.
Mm-hmm.
There is a heavy focus on which data is being collected. So only collect the data the company needs to provide the service or the product they are selling,
Mm-hmm.
and no more. And again, there are a lot of products, a lot of apps out there that are collecting so much more information than you actually need.
Yeah.
Why is a big question that I can't answer, but they shouldn't.
Yeah.
The topic around storage and how long it's going to be stored for, and again, with a thought and a nod to encryption, the deletion of the data on the end user request. And there is one, I've been counting six now, there must be one that I can't remember just now. So all of it makes sense. The 7 points,
Yeah.
they make so much sense. Any person that I'm speaking with generally thinks, yeah, why not? I thought that's the case for everything and everywhere. But it isn't. It
Yeah.
really isn't.
Should be, but it isn't. Yeah.
If anyone who's listening out there, if you run your own company, keep it in mind. It is something that puts or can put your company apart from the competition.
Yeah.
Personally, I am choosing a lot of my apps these days based on how much data do they collect from me and what do they want from me and how do I feel about the data safety in the background. And there are plenty of cases where I decide I really like the app. I've seen it on other people's phones. It's like, oh man, I wish I could allow myself to do that. But if I do that one, where is it going to end? So maybe I'm a stickler. Who knows? But if you're data privacy minded, have a look. Talk to other people about it. If you run a company, have a look at it. Have a look at the privacy policy. If you're the owner of the company, have a look at the privacy policy and see if you understand it yourself. Who
Yeah.
knows?
And I think it's the app um, usage. There's a lot of apps out there that people feel that they couldn't live without, and therefore prepared to, sacrifice their data and their privacy, just so they can use these applications. And it's been shown that, for example, just having the Facebook app or the WhatsApp app on your phone, even without using it, it was still able to track which websites you were visiting, on your phone. I'm not sure how they did it. I have not looked into the technical details, right? That they've been accused of tracking what websites you visit through another application, right? Just because you have the Facebook application installed in your phone. You're not even using Facebook; it's just installed, and it was able to track what websites you were accessing. So be very aware of privacy that you're sacrificing by using these applications. And I think you're basically risking a lot of your own personal privacy and data by not understanding what the privacy policy is for these applications. And just saying, I have to use it. Everyone's on Facebook or everyone uses WhatsApp. I can't not use it because then I'll use contact all my friends. There are alternatives, and the key is to encourage your friends to use those alternatives. I know some people will resist, but at the end of the day, it's all life, it's your privacy, it's your data. How much is it important? How important is it to you?
I completely agree, and personally, I'm incredibly happy. I recently found out that one of the social groups that I'm becoming friendly with at the moment, they are conducting all of their communication via Signal, which is a really nice change. And why not? It's the same principle without the being spied upon. It
Yes,
works.
yes. No, and it also they have confirmed they will not be using AI on the application.
Yes. And then the Meredith Whittaker was mansplained by a man that no, you can't trust what the CEO is saying. Of course, they're going to use AI. Well,
Yes,
I would always trust the person in charge. So Whittaker, I have a lot of respect for. It's Signal is a great product, and I do believe that it will continue to be a great product, and I trust what they say.
yeah. So everyone using WhatsApp, that's the way to go.
Yes. Having said that, I also trust Zuckerberg and what he says. He always said he will sell your data to whoever is bidding the highest. So trust what people say and then
Yeah,
watch what they do.
exactly.
And in the meantime, have fun reading all of those beautiful privacy policies out there.
Yeah,
Do invoke,
uninstalling all those apps that you don't like anymore.
yes, that may be a topic for another time. The comparing apps that people tend to have on their phones in terms of data privacy, maybe.
Yeah,
As I mentioned, that was it from me.
thank you.
Have a great start to summertime in the Northern Hemisphere and wintertime in the Southern Hemisphere. And we will speak in July, the 4th of July at 4
Fourth
p.m.
Tuesday.
Sorry?
The fourth Tuesday, not
The
the 4th of
4th,
July.
4th Tuesday. Uh, I'm not even in the US to have the 4th of July is a big thing in my life. The fourth Tuesday in July, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we will see you there. Bye bye.
Bye.